السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, we are together again. This is from the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us. And it is something that we have to really be grateful for and be thankful. And we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for patience with this important endeavor that we are involved in, which is trying to seek knowledge of this important language, the Arabic language, mashallah. And this is something that is really something that people who are involved in should be commended for, because this is the language of the Quran. And anybody who is a serious Muslim should really make an effort to learn this language, regardless of how hard it looks or how difficult it is. When it comes to taking on things and doing things, Muslims take on much more difficult tasks than this, and they conquer it. So to really spend a year or two of devoted time to really get an understanding of the Arabic language is not a lot of time, inshallah, because it will assist us in one of the most important areas of our lives, and that is to be able to understand the word of Allah, to be able to understand the deen, most importantly, to understand the Quran. Much of what is in the deen is in the Arabic language. The best of what is in the deen is the Arabic language. It is the language in which everything was revealed. So, alhamdulillah, it is important that we spend some time with it. Inshallah, we're going to do some quick revision, and then we are going to do this important subject that we want to deal with, al-idafa, because this is, that's one of the 7 categories of asma, and we did 6 of them, so we just want to do the 7th category, inshallah. The first is al-ism al-mu'arrafu bi-al, that is the ism upon which al enters, like al-waladu, you have waladun, walidun, al-waladu, al-walidu, walidatun, al-walidatu. The walid is the father, al-walida is the mother. Ism al-alam, that's like proper names like Muhammad, Mecca, London, and it is different from other names like common names. Like, for example, if we want to say the name of a river, like the Nile, it's a river. That's a proper name. It would be in English represented by capital letter. But if we want to just say the word river or the river or something like that, that is common. Okay, so that is the differentiation between the two, inshallah. Proper names are what we know as regular names of people and places, inshallah. Al-ism al-munada biya, that is with ya, like ya Muhammadu. Okay, ism al-mawsul, al-asma al-mawsula, like alladhi, alladhina, uli, uli. And then on the feminine side, we have allati, allati, and allai. For the 5th category is ad-dama'ir. All dama'ir are ma'rifa. They are all ma'rifa. Asma al-mawsula, except for the muthanna. Can you hold for me a second? Yeah. So we did all of the asma al-mawsula are ma'rifa, even the muthanna, right? Inshallah. These are mabni and but all of them are mawsula. All of them are ma'rifa. The damair are all ma'rifa, all of the damair, and we have some of the damair here that we have is the mutakallim, is ana and nahnu, the mukhatab, anta, antum, antuma, anti, antunna. The ghaib, this is the third person, huwa, huma, hum, hiya, hunna. Okay. Um, so all of those are ma'rifa. Asma al-ishara, all the demonstrative pronouns. هذا, هذه, هؤلاء, tilka, ذلك, أولئك, they're all ma'rifa, inshallah. And even the dual, هذاني, هاتاني, ذانك, وتانك, um, they're all ma'rifa. And then the one that we're going to do today is al-mudaf ila ma'rifa. That is the indefinite possessed noun, which is connected to a definite noun in a possessive construction. Kitabuhu is a possessive construction because it's two words that come together that indicate that someone possesses something or something possesses something else. Okay, like for example, kitabuhu is the book. The book is being possessed by him. Kitabul mudarrisi, the teacher possesses the book. The teacher owns the book. The teacher is the one who possesses the book. So we have a possessive construction wherein there is one that is possessed and one that is the possessor. So in this case, the possessor is the teacher, and what is possessed is the book. So that there, alhamdulillah, I mean, that is, I guess, clear. Okay, so what is implied here is that when the indefinite possessed noun, like for example, we have kitabun, let's say we have kitabun, is connected to a definite noun, definite ism, like al-mudarris. Al-mudarris is definite because it has alif and lam, right? Because we could say kitabu kitabu mudarrisin. If we say kitabu mudarrisin, then it is not definite because it is connected to a mudarris that is ghayr ma'rifa, that is not ma'rifa, that is not known, that is ambiguous, that is that we don't really know. We don't have information about. We know the book belonged to a mudarris, but which mudarris we don't know. So we say kitabu Muhammadin. In that case, the mudaf is going to be nakira because it is connected to what is nakira. But if it is connected to what is ma'rifa, like in the case of kitabu who here is a damir, and the damir, as we said, is always ma'rifa. And here, any word, we said any ism that is connected to by alif and lam is ma'rifa. So in this case, we have the mudarris is ma'rifa and the who is ma'rifa. So the noun becomes ma'rifa. So al-mudaf ila ma'rifa becomes ma'rifa. So that is basically what it is, inshallah. Let us go back quickly. Definiteness. Each ism is either definite, ma'rifa, indicating something specific, that it is known, like the book, right? That is something that is specific book, right? The the there indicates it is a book. It is a specific book, or it is nakira. It's either ma'rif or nakira, right? Which is not specific, like a book. That is any book. Indefinite ism, nakira ism, generally takes tanween, okay? Generally takes tanween because there are some exceptions. Arabic has no a or an. So the indefinite nakira is translated into English as a or an, like kitabun is a book or a book. Some indefinite nouns do not take a or an. Example, ma'un is translated as water. You don't say a water, right? And you don't say an ear. You say ear or water, okay? So that is basically very straightforward, inshallah. Nouns are ism are either ma'rif or nakira. The nakira is represented by tanween generally, inshallah, and that is tanween fatha, kasra, or dhamma. And in Arabic, there is no a or an, but in nakira represents this, inshallah. Okay. Al-ism, the first category that we dealt with is al-ism al-mu'arrafa bi-al, the ism that becomes definite when al is connected to it. So you have an ism, waladun, and you add al to it, it becomes definite. It becomes al-waladu. Waladun translates as a boy. Al-waladu translates as the boy. Okay? Al is equal to the definite article in English, meaning the. Al means the. And it only enters upon asma. The al only enters upon asma, right? Which is the plural for ism. And ism that is connected to al becomes definite. So we have kitabun, but when al is added to it, it becomes al-kitabu, meaning the book, right? The book makes it definite. And that is, in English, it is called a definite article, the word the. So, inshallah, the ism is changed to its marfa form by taking al when the tanween, and the tanween on the last letter of the word is changed to a single harakat. So, normally, a word, like in this case, masjid, masjidin, fi masjidin, okay, or inna hamdan, or hamdun, all of those they are nakira because they are tanween. When alif and lam is added to it, like fi masjidin becomes fil masjidi when alif and lam is added to it. So the tanween drops. So it just takes one kasra. Inna hamdan, it becomes innal hamda. Notice, because alif and lam is added to it. Hamdun becomes alhamdu, right? And we have used this a lot in Alhamda for the Khutbah al-Hajj. We have always been hearing it. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We hear that so many times every day, inshallah. So when we say Alhamdu, we know it's Ma'rifah, right? When we say Hamdun or Hamdan or Hamdin, it's Nakira. Alhamdu, Alhamda or Alhamdi is all Nakira. Note, no ism can take the al and the tanween at the same time. This is important to pay attention to. So anybody has any problem up to this time, inshallah? The second category that we have to deal with, that we dealt with, is al-ismul munada biya. Al-ismul munada biya. Right? That's what we dealt with, right? Anybody has any problem up to now with what I explained? Okay, this is the third category. The two categories that we dealt before, the ism that alif and lam is connected to, it becomes ma'rifah. The ism al-alam, which is the ism that is a proper name. The third category is the ism al-munada bi-ya. When ya is used as the ism al-munada. Okay? The ism that is used for calling, right? The ism addressed by ya. So you have walad, you want to address a boy which would be waladun. When you say ya in front of it, the tanween drops, so it becomes ya waladu. Ya waladu. Okay? Inshallah. So we have ya here, which is the harful munada, harful nida, sorry. Harfun nida. Okay, and you might, anyways, no, you might not have heard this before. This hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when the blind man came to him and he asked if he could pray at home because he didn't have anybody to lead him to the masjid. So the Prophet ﷺ, in the beginning told him, yes, you can do that. But when he turned away to go, the Prophet ﷺ told him, asked him, Atasma'un nida. Tasma'un nida. Do you hear the nida? Do you hear the call? See the word here? Noon, dal, ya. This is the root for it. Nida. Okay? So, harfun nida, here again. Harfun nida is a harf that is used for calling. Okay? So the man, this companion said, yes, I hear. He said, the Prophet says, Ajib, so go. Answer the call, go to the masjid, right? So that is important to pay attention to for brothers, inshallah, who hear the adhan, they have to respond inshallah. So when the harf nida is connected to the ismul munada, right? Um, the harf nida, yeah, there is a particle used for calling someone and translated as O in English. Al-waladu is al-munada, ismul munada. The ism that is munada is what you're calling, okay? And it is al-waladu. It is someone definite, right? So that's why we put al-waladu here. But when they are connected, it becomes ya waladu, the alif and lam. The alif and lam, this alif and lam here, it drops. So it becomes ya waladu, ya rajulu, ya Allahu. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the word Allah is already nakir, is already ma'rifah. Okay? When we say Rabbun, the word is Rabbun. So we say Ya Rabbu, Ya Rabbu, Irhamni. Okay? Anyways, we're going to deal with that later. Anyways, Ya Waladu. So when the Ismul Munada is preceded by Ya, the Harfun Nida, the Al is dropped from it and it does not take Tanween Dhamma. Okay? So the Tanween Dhamma is an indication of Nakira. Okay? So when the Tanween drops, it indicates that it's Ma'rifah, it indicates that it is definite. So it becomes Ya Waladu. Okay? Inshallah. Okay, so we have that there. Note, even if it is a proper noun, Ismul Alam, like Muhammadun, like Hamidun, they are proper nouns. When the Ya comes before it, Al-Ism does not take Tanween Dhamma. Does not take the Tanween. So it reads, Ya Hamidu. Ya Hamidu. You don't say Ya Hamidun. Okay? You don't say Ya Hamidun, you say Ya Hamidu. Okay. Ya Muhammadu, Ya Khalidu. But Anwaru is already mamnu min as-sarf. If you say Ya Anwaru, is no problem. Okay? Ya Sa'idu, Ya Khalidu, whatever. Okay? For the feminine, it's already mamnu min as-sarf. It doesn't have any tanween on it, like Mariamu. You don't say Mariamun. Mariamun is not correct because it's mamnu min as-sarf. It means it doesn't take tanween on the last letter. Right? Every feminine name does not take tanween on the last letter. Mariamu, Zainabu, Fatimatu, Asiyatu. No, it is Asiya. Right? Anyhow, the other names that is like that are the names of Tama Rabuta that are masculine names. So it is Hamzatu, right? So you say Ya Hamzatu, it doesn't drop because there's no tanween on it, right? The tanween is already off because it is mamnu min as-sarf. Okay. We also were discussing the next category of things that we discussed. So we finished the three there. The ism al-mu'arraf bi al, that is the ism that al enters upon. The ism al-alam, that is the proper names. And then we did Ya, the ism that is addressed by Ya, the harfun nida, Ya, with the ismul munada, it becomes Ya rajulu, Ya waladu, Ya bintu, right, like that. Now, we said there are 7 categories in that list that we give. That was 3. Then we had the dama'ir. Dama'ir are always ma'rifah. Then we had ism al-mawsul, alladhi, alladhina, and the like, right? That's always ma'rifah. Then we have the ism al-ishara, hadha, hadhihi, haulai, tilka, dhalika, ulaika. So that makes it 6 categories. The final category that we have to deal with to complete this entire subject is the ism that is connected in a possessive construction, where what it is connected to is ma'rifah, where the ism that is connected, it is connected to something that is ma'rifah. It's connected to something like that is known. Like for example, we have Muhammad. Muhammad is somebody known, right? I want to connect a book to him, right? Any book. But when I connect it to him, the book becomes Ma'rifah because it becomes Muhammad's book, right? Kitabu Muhammadin. So that is called a phrase. The connection of two words in a state of idafa, which is mudaf, mudafun ilayh, that's the idafa state, which is a possessive construction, right? It's made up of two words. These two words, they are called a phrase because they do not give a complete meaning. They give a partial meaning. They don't give a complete meaning. You can't understand fully. Like I say, Kitabu Muhammadin. What about Kitabu Muhammadin? Or if I say Muhammad, for example, one word, it doesn't give meaning. There has to be something else to complete the meaning. Kitabu Muhammadin is what we are speaking about, but there's something about Kitabu Muhammadin that we want to say. So to complete the thought, to complete the sentence, we can say Kitabu Muhammadin al al-Maktabi. Muhammad's book is on the desk, right? That would be a complete sentence. But when we say Kitabu Muhammadin, it's harf, it's jumlatun ghayru mufidatin. It's a jumla that is incomplete, is a sentence that is incomplete, or it's al-murakkab al-naqis, or it's a construction that is incomplete. Okay, there are five, but we are only going to deal with two, right? We already discussed one the last time, which I want to go over quickly because I just want to revise it, right? And it's called a demonstrative phrase, which is al-murakkab al-ishari. Okay, al-murakkab al-ishari. This is supposed to be ishari, right? And then there is the possessive phrase, al-murakkab al-idafi. Okay, okay. Al-Murakkab al-Idafi. Okay. We've already explained the demonstrative phrase, Al-Murakkab al-Ishari, inshallah, in this class. We will revise it, and then proceed to explain the possessive expression, which is called Al-Idafa. Al-Idafa. Right? Al-Murakkab al-Idafi, another name for it is Al-Idafa. Okay. As you can see, Idaf, the alif is there, the dot is there, and the fa is there, right? Idaf, alif, dot, and fa, idafa. Okay, so inshallah, that's what we're going to explain. But first of all, we're going to explain back the demonstrative phrase, inshallah, so that you can really be on top of it. Al-Murakkab al-Ishari, the demonstrative phrase. This is a phrase where one ism, the ism al-Ishara, and we know the ism al-Ishara, is hada, hadihi, هؤلاء ذلك تلك أولئك, or it can be the dual too, هذان هاتان. Okay, so the ism al-ishara هذا is pointing to another word. It's a pointing word anyhow. The ism al-ishara is a pointing word. It points out to something. It points out something. هذا, I'm holding something. هذا, or ذلك, I'm pointing to something over there. ذلك. Okay, it is a pointing word. It indicates, pointing out something. Okay, but in this case, the phrase where one ism, this demonstrative phrase is one where one ism, the ism al-ishara, points to another noun, al-musharu ilay. That is what it's called. The musharu ilay, al-musharu ilay, is what it is pointing to. Okay, okay. For a phrase to be al-murakkab al-ishari, now, this is important because it's how you're going to know if it is al-murakkab al-ishari. The ism that is pointed to, that is al-mushar ilayh, al-musharu ilayh, must have the definite article. So we know hada is not what we are talking about. Hada is ismul ishara. Hada is pointing to another word, to another ism. Whatever it's pointing to, that is the musharu ilayh. And if it is to be a phrase, then it has to have the alif and lam. So if we want to say kitabun is the book we are pointing to, we say hada kitabun. That is not ismul ishari. Okay. In order for it to be ismul ishari, it has to take the alif and lam. So it has to be hadal kitabu. And when we say hadal kitabu, it's translated into English as this book. So as you know, if you listen to that, from an English perspective, it is a construct. It's a phrase. It's not a sentence. This book. What about this book? Is new. That's the completion of the state of the sentence. So this book is new is a complete statement. But when we say هذا الكتاب, that is not enough. Okay. So example, هذا, what is that? Example, هذا الولد, this is supposed to be here, right? This here. I moved it without realizing what I was doing. هذا الولد is supposed to be here. So example, هذا الولد means this boy. Now we have the اسم الإشارة here, which is هذا, and the مشار إليه is الولد. الولد. So this is a complete structure, it's an incomplete phrase, it's an incomplete sentence, it's a phrase, right? They call it fragment, and it means this boy. That's what it means, this boy, right? I changed up it to make it shorter, but I didn't realize what I was doing. Anyway, note, if the mushar ilay, the ism that is pointed to, does not have al, it does not have al, then it will be a complete sentence. For example, هذا ولد. See, it does not have al. If it had al, it would be هذا الولد, this boy. Because it does not have al, it reads, this is a boy. That's a complete sentence. That's a complete sentence, inshallah. Okay. If the predicate does a khabar, here, this is the khabar. In this sentence, there are two parts. You know, in English, there are two parts. There is subject. For any sentence, there is a subject and there's a predicate. The subject is what you're talking about. The predicate is information about the subject. Okay? So, in this case, this is a complete sentence. We're talking about this. What about it? Is a boy. Right? That is the predicate. Okay, we are talking about this, and we are saying that this is a boy. So that's the predicate. Is a boy is the predicate. It's a complete sentence. That's how English is formed. There's two aspects, subject and predicate. So as long as it has subject and predicate, then that's it. It's a complete statement. Now, it's a complete sentence. If the predicate, that's a khabar in Arabic, is called a khabar, right, is also definite. If the khabar has alif and lam, right, so it has هذا and al-waladu, then in order to make it a jumlatun mufida, a complete sentence, not a jumla غير ناقص. Jumla means sentence. غير المفيدة, غير مفيدة means it's not beneficial. It's a sentence that is not, you don't have faid in it. Mufid means to have benefit in it. You can't, it's not a complete statement, it's not a complete thought. Okay? But a jumla is something that contains meaning and a complete thought, right? So we want to make a sentence that has a khabar, the ismul ishara also taking alif and lam, right? So we have al-waladu, we have hada, al-waladu. Now, if we have hada al-waladu, this coming next to this, it means this boy, but we want to make it still a sentence. So what do we have to do in such a case? We have to add a suitable damir between the subject, which is a demonstrative pronoun, and which is a pronoun, right? And the predicate for it to remain a complete sentence. So we have to add a pronoun, a suitable pronoun, damir, to the subject, put it between the subject and the demonstrative pronoun. The demonstrative pronoun is hada, okay? And the predicate, it must come between hada and al-waladu for it to remain a complete sentence. So for example, we have hada and al-kitab. These are the two. This is the subject, and we want it to remain as a predicate, as the second part of the sentence. In order to do that in Arabic, you have to put a pronoun that is suitable, right? A damir that is suitable. So here it is هذا هو الكتاب, because هذا is singular. So whatever pronoun we add next to it has to be singular, and it is also masculine. Okay, it is also masculine. It is definite. Okay, it is definite. This is that both of them are definite, because the pronoun has to agree with this in every area, inshallah. So we have هذا هو الكتاب, is this is the book. This is the book. So we have three different formations. هذا كتاب, this is a book. هذا الكتاب, this book. And هذا هو الكتاب, this is the book. Like Allah says in Surah Baqarah, أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. Right? أولئك comes there. If we say أولئك المفلحون, it means those successful. Those successful one, what is the matter with them? Right? If we say أولئك مفلحون, it means those are successful ones. If we say أولئك هم المفلحون, it means those are the successful ones. Okay? So that is how it is used in the Quran, in Surah Baqarah, in the very first set of ayats, in the fifth ayah, I think. Inshallah. أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. Allah used it there with the alif and lam coming in between, right? So this is straightforward. If no pronoun is added, it would remain an incomplete sentence. So if we took out this, took out the huwa from here, right? It would mean, it would be هذا الكتاب, and that is a demonstrative phrase, al-muraqab al-ishari. I hope that explains it, inshallah. هذا الكتاب, هذا كتاب means, هذا الكتاب means this book, inshallah. All right, let's go back to this table. ذلك كتاب, ذلك كتاب. ذلك كتاب, we want to make it muraqab al-ishari, and muraqab al-ishari, that's easy. We add alif and lam to the kitab, okay? So it becomes, that translates, that is a book. We want to make it muraqab al-ishari, we add alif and lam to it, right? So it becomes ذلك الكتاب, that book, okay? Now we want to make it a sentence by keeping al-kitabu, keeping the kitab definite. So what do? We add a suitable pronoun. We add a suitable pronoun here. The suitable pronoun here would obviously be masculine and singular. So it would be ذلك هو الكتاب. Okay, that means that is the book. Okay, so we have a jumlatul ismiyah here again. هذا بلد. هذا بلد. It means that is a city. This is a city. ذلك means that. هذا means this. هذا بلد means this is a city. We want to make it muraqqab al-ishari. We add alif and lam to the balad here, right? So it becomes هذا البلد. هذا البلد, which means this city. This city. وهذا البلد الأمين. We know that in the ayah, right? In the surah, لا أقسم بهذا البلد, هذا البلد, أنت حل بهذا البلد, no. Allah says, والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين, right? The reason it is وهذا البلد is because of the word that comes before. We'll talk about that later, inshallah. But it is هذا البلد, this city, okay? Anyways, we want to make it a complete sentence, keeping the al. We add alif and lam. We add a damir that is suitable between the ism al-ishara and the mushar ilayh, and what is pointing to, right? So it becomes هذا هو البلد. This is the city. Okay, tilka bintun. Tilka bintun. This is feminine now. Okay, so we want to keep it. Tilka bintun means that is a girl. Okay, we want to make it into al-murakkabul ishari. We want to make it into this. So in order to do that, we add alif and lam to the bint. So it becomes tilka bintu, means this, that girl. Tilka bintu means that girl, right? It is not this, right? We want to keep it. We want to keep the khabar, ma'rifa, right? We want to keep it al. We want to keep al bint. So in order to do that and keep the sentence with full meaning, we read it tilka hiya al bintu. Tilka hiya al bintu. Tilka hiya al bintu. Okay, inshallah. So that means that reads that is the girl. ذلك قلم has the same principle, right? We want to make it al-muraqqab al-ishari, where we add alif and lam to it. That is a pen. It becomes ذلك القلم, that pen. We want to make it a sentence, and but keep the ma'rifah state for the column. We want to keep the al on it. So we have to add here a suitable damir. How do we know the suitable damir? We want to do ذلك. ذلك is masculine and it is singular. So it has to be huwa. ذلك هو القلم. ذلك هو القلم. Right? That is the pen. Then we have tilka ayatun. This is a very tricky one because ayat here, ayat is plural. Right? Tilka is a representative for the plural when it is غير آقل. When it is not intellect, it doesn't have intellect. Okay, so tilka ayatu or tilka ayatun, okay, is tilka ayatun, right? Which means those are signs. Those are signs. That's a complete statement. So if I say tilka ayatu for the murakkab al-ishari, it becomes those signs. Those signs. If I want to keep it, keep the al-ayat. Keep the al-ayat in the sentence and keep the whole sentence, right? I say tilka, I look at this, tilka, it is singular and it is feminine, right? Although ayat is plural. And this is because it is ghayr aqil. And this is something you have to be on top of and always keep refreshing your mind with, because it is not normal. It is, I mean, it is not, something, it's something abnormal in the Arabic language, okay? So it becomes tilka hiya al-ayatu. These are, and those are the signs. Those are the signs. Now, the final one, ha'ulai qawmun. These are a people. Okay, I want to make it al-muraqqab al-ishari, add alif and lam to the qawm. It becomes ha'ulai al-qawmu. These people, right? I want to keep the qawm al-qawm, right, as a cover, as a predicate, right? هؤلاء هم القوم, right? Because we have to add a suitable pronoun here. Like for example, in the ayah that Allah says, أولئك هم المفلحون, Allah used hum, right? أولئك instead of هؤلاء Allah uses, right? هؤلاء is plural, so we have to use the plural. It's masculine, we have to use masculine, inshallah. Even if it's masculine and feminine, we still use the masculine form. هؤلاء هم القوم. Those are, these are the people. These are the people, inshallah. So I hope that is clear, and that we would have covered the 6 categories. Now we're going to deal with the possessive expression, the idafa. The possessive expression is called al-idafa in the Arabic language. Al-idafa. Okay? Okay. Idafa means adding or annexing something to something else. It is, and this means al-idafa, when it comes to the Arabic language, it means to add one noun, one ism, to another ism to form a relationship of possession. When one noun comes to the next noun, it adds a relationship of possession, like Hamid's son, or Muhammad's daughter, or Muhammad's house, or the masjid of the Qarya, the masjid of the village's masjid. Okay, and it is, like we discussed it can be linked to have of in it. Remember, at the very beginning, we started to say that the noun, the ism that follows of, is always majrur. And this is the case you're going to see here, right? Because this is one of the issue with the possession that we have to be on top of, right? So we have, for example, the teacher's book or the book of the teacher. The same thing, right? The same thing. But the whole idea is that this is an issue of possession. Al-idafa is the expression that shows ownership of one thing over another. Like the teacher owns the book. Okay, so we can say the teacher's book or the book of the teacher. That shows ownership. Okay, example, qalamu. Qalamun, we did qalam. What's the meaning of qalam? Meaning of qalam is?
Pen.
Right.
A pen.
And whose pen is it?
Muhammad.
Muhammad's pen. Right. So that is a possessive expression, right? So it can read Muhammad's pen or the pen of Muhammad. Okay. So these two words come together and they form a relationship of possession. Now this construction here has a lot of rules to it that you need to pay attention to, right? So we look at it here. It has two parts, something possessed, which is called the mudaf. The thing, right, the thing that is possessed, which is the column here, is called the mudaf. The first part of it is called the mudaf. And the second thing that we have is an owner, or the one that possesses it. And it's called al-mudafu ilayhi, the thing that is connected to it. Ilayhi means to it. Mudafun ilayhi, that which is connected to it. Ilayhi means to it, right? So mudaf is the thing that is connected. Mudafun ilayhi is the thing that is connected to it. That is connected to it. Okay, so it has two parts. This is the mudaf. The column there is the mudaf. And Muhammad is mudafun ilayhi. Now, there are two things that we notice that I'm going to point out to you. First of all, because Muhammad comes after of, because here it's the book of Muhammad, right? It takes kasra, very important. And because Muhammad is a noun that has tanween, it takes Muhammadin. The column is the mudaf. And you notice we say a mudaf that is connected to something that is ma'rifa is ma'rifa. Okay? The mudaf, the thing that is possessed, it is connected to something that is known, that is ma'rifa, then what is possessed becomes ma'rifa. So in this case, we know it's Muhammad's pen, so it becomes ma'rifa, right? Qalamu Muhammadin. You understand? Now, basically, it is supposed to, in regular conversation, in regular written Arabic, it's supposed to have al in front to make it ma'rifa. But this is one of the special case with the mudaf and mudafun ilayh, right? With the mudaf and the mudafun ilayhi. The alif and lam is dropped off, right? And in addition to that, there is no tanween. So the column, instead of being al-qalamu Muhammadin, right, becomes qalamu Muhammadin, and the tanween drops. Okay, we're going to explain a little bit more about this, but just keep that in mind, inshallah. Right? For example, here we have babu al-bayti. The bab is mudaf, al-bayti is mudafun ilayh, and it translates as the door of the house or the house's door. So what comes after of here? The door of the house, right? The house comes after, so it must take a kashr, It's always majrur. Okay, so at least that piece of knowledge come back, inshallah, at this point in time. Okay, we will talk about the rest, inshallah, as we go on. The possessive expression al-mudaf can be definite when the mudafun ilayh is definite. The mudaf can be definite when its mudafun ilayh is definite. Okay, Babul Baiti called al-mudafun ila ma'rifa. And this is called, you see, it is the mudaf here, the mudaf is definite. We want to say that the mudaf is definite if its mudafun ilay is definite. In this case, al-bayt is definite. Don't worry, kasra. It is in this case, it is in this state just because it comes after of, or it's in a possessive state. It is being possessed, right? It is the possessor. Sorry, it is the possessor. The bab is the possessed. There's a bab al-bayt. So the possessor is ma'rifa. It is known. If we had said kitabu rajulin or babu baitin, it would be different. It would not be ma'rifa. It would not be definite then, right? So in order for it to be definite, it has to be mudaf ila ma'rifa. So you check if you want to know if the mudaf is ma'rifa. This is the mudaf here, babu. If you want to know if it is ma'rifa, because it would always be without the alif and lam, it would always be without them, right? Or kashr or fatha. So it would always be babu or babi or baba. Okay, depends on what comes before it or what affects it. Okay, but al-bayt does not necessarily have to always have the alif and lam. That can drop. It can be baitin, babu baitin, babu baitin, baba baitin, babi baitin. Okay, the baitin always remains. But when it takes the alif and lam, al-baytu, right? Babul bayti, babal bayti, babil bayti, right? So, like I can say, fi babil bayti, right? Inna babal bayti, babul bayti, nadhifun, or whatever, right? It's clean. Okay. The possessed noun, which is connected to a definite noun, is in a possessive construction like kitabuhu, his book, or kitabul mudarrisi, right? This is the example of the two. Here we have the mudaf ila ma'rifa is the possessed noun, which is connected to a definite noun. The possessed noun is kitab. Kitab is what is possessed, what is owned. Like in this case, both of these cases is the same thing. Who owns it? He owned it, right? It is his book. Okay, so it's connected to a definite noun. The definite noun in this case is who? Is a pronoun that is always definite, and here is al-mudarris because al-mudarris has alif and lam. Okay, and it is in a possessive construction. Kitabul mudarrisi, kitabuhu. Okay, so the mudaf can be definite when its mudafun ilay is definite. So in both of these cases, the mudafun ilay is definite, and it is called al-mudaf ila ma'rifa. Ma'rifa, this is ma'rifa, and this is ma'rifa. So this is the mudaf. We said this is the mudaf already, right? And mudaf ila ma'rifa. That's what we say, inshallah, in Arabic. And at least you should understand because it is mudaf ila ma'rifa. We can see that here, both cases, right? Inshallah. It can be indefinite when its mudafun ilay is indefinite. Like, for example, imamu masjidin. Right? Notice the alif and lam is off, the tanween is off, because it is in the state of, it is in this construct possessive case. It is in the possessive state. All right? Inshallah. Right. So in this particular case, it is mudaf ila nakira. Mudaf ila nakira. So then the mudaf is indefinite. It's nakira. If it is mudaf ila nakira, that is a word that is indefinite. Like masjidin, masjid is a masjid. Imamu masjidin means the imam of a masjid. It's indefinite. The masjid is indefinite, so the imam is indefinite. We don't know which imam, we don't know which masjid. We just know he's imam of a masjid, right? So it's indefinite, inshallah. If it is definite, if we say imamul masjidi, it's the imam of a specific masjid. We know for sure now what it is, right? In all cases, the mudaf, in all cases, all cases, the mudaf is never prefixed with al, never, ever has al. If it has an al, then that is not mudaf. If that ism, any ism has al, it's not mudaf, right? That's the first thing. If it has al, it is not mudaf. And the reason That is so is because of the state that is in, right? The state that is in. So it never takes out. The possessed noun, that's a mudaf, that is this, imam here, or kitab, as a possessed noun. That's what is possessed, right? It takes different cases. Takes different cases. It can be nasb, it can be rafa, it can be jar. It can have a fatha, it can have a kasra, it can have a dhamma. Okay. While the mudafun ilay takes a genitive case. Only halat jar, only, always halat jar. So anytime you see two ism, you want to know if it's mudafun ilay, check the first ism that you're checking with two, and if it is nakir, if it is kasra, if that's kasra on it, then there's a possibility, right, for it to be mudafun ilay. Not necessarily, because it can be an adjective, okay? Because the adjective has to agree with the noun in every area, okay? So the point is that you look first for that. You look at the word before it, and you see, you look at it. If it has alif and lam, then it's not mudafun ilay. If it does not have alif and lam, then you know that there's a possibility here, right? So the possessed noun, the mudaf, takes different cases, while the mudafun ilay takes a genitive case only. It only takes a genitive case, inshallah. An example is given in the following slide. Okay. Al mudaf. Okay. Look at this. The mudaf taking a dhamma. Kitabu at-talibi. Kitab means book, or the boy. At-talibu means the boy. So as we said, the mudafun ilay, this is mudafun ilay, right?
Student.
Right. It's always majroor. It always takes a kasra. In this case, it takes a single kasra because it has alif and lam. We said that the mudaf never takes alif and lam. Never takes alif and lam. But it can take dhamma, it can take fatha, it can take kasra. We're going to show you a different example now, right? Okay. This is halat raf. This case is halat raf. It's marfu. Okay. Marfu the dhamma. One dhamma. Taking a kasra. The mudaf taking a kasra. Ala. So we can say at-talibu ala maktabil mudarrisi. Look, mudarris is the noun that is the mudafun ilay. Okay, here in this particular construction, it takes a kasra. That is known. It takes alif and lam. That is why it doesn't take tanween, right? Maktab is the mudaf. It is supposed to be maktabu. If we didn't have this alif and lam, this ala here, it would be maktabul mudarrisi. But because ala, which is harful jar, comes before maktab, it makes it majroor. Okay, so ala maktabil mudarrisi. Okay, so al-qalamu ala maktabil mudarrisi. Al-kitabu ala maktabil mudarrisi. Al-waladu ala maktabil mudarrisi. The pen is on the teacher's desk. The boy is on the teacher's desk. The kitab is on the teacher's desk. Ala maktabil mudarrisi. So you understand how it changes, right? You have to look at what comes in front of it. For example, Allah says, ala rabbihim. Rabbihim is mudaf ilay. The him is the mudafun ilay. Rabbi ala rabbihim. Right? It takes a kasra because of the ala that comes in front of rabbihim. This is halat al-jar. Okay? Okay, it has a kasra. Taken fatha. Ra'aytu is a verb, right? It means I saw. What did I see? Maktabal. Whatever, remember we said when we have a verb, whatever comes after it is giving information about it, right? Because the two here, the two indicates who saw. Ra'aytu means I saw, right? Ra'aytu means I saw. What did I see? Maktabal mudarrisi. Maktabal mudarrisi. I saw the table of the mudarris, the teacher's table. Okay, but it is mansub. Why? Because it is It is called maf'ulun bihi. What I saw. It is the object of the action, right? My seeing hit something. Did I saw something specific. It is, what is it? Maktab al-mudarrisi. So that it makes it mansub. So al-mudarrisi, we explained that in the first three cases. But this case, in all the cases, take kasra as you see, right? It is ma'arifa. It has alif and lam, right? So maktab, maktabun is the asl, is the basis of the word. But because it is mudafun ilay, I'm talking about the desk of the teacher, okay? It doesn't take alif and lam. And in this case, it takes a fatha because it is the maf'ulun bihi, halat and nasb, okay? Mhm. So we see in all the cases, the raf is with dhamma, the jar is with kasra, the nasb is with fatha, and all three of the cases, they are with kasra, which is the state of jar that the mudafun ilay is always in. Mudafun ilay is always in that state. Example of mudaf ila ma'rifa. Qimmatul jabali. Al-jabal means mountain. You can learn this word, inshallah. Jabal means mountain. As you see, you can immediately know that is mudafun ilay. Qimma means the peak or the tip, right? Or the top. Qimmatul jabali, the top of the mountain. Al-jabal means mountain. Qalamu Muhammadin, we did that already in our previous example. This is Muhammad's pen or the pen of Muhammad. Kitabul Mudarrisi, we did that also, inshallah. Kitabul Mudarrisi, the book of the teacher or the teacher's book. Bintu Tabibi, Bintu Tabibati, sorry. Bintu Tabibati is a daughter of the female doctor. I don't know, I'm feeling a little tired, I guess. The daughter of the doctor or the doctor's daughter. It's a feminine doctor, right? It's a female doctor. Okay? The doctor here is feminine because it takes the al-marabuta. Okay? At-tabiba. So bintu tabibati, it could have been bintu tabibi. Bintu tabibi would be the doctor's daughter, male doctor. Okay? Bintu tabibati is the female doctor's daughter. Okay? Inshallah. In the above example, one would notice that the mudaf does not take al. Qimma, qimmatu, qalamu, kitabu, bintu. We notice that, right? The mudaf ilay is always majroor in all the cases above. The kasra is on the last letter of each word. That's the second thing we notice, okay? The third thing we notice, all the examples are mudaf ila ma'rifa. Muhammadin is the name of a person, so it's a proper noun. The teacher, al-mudarris, this is ism al-alam. Muhammad is ism al-alam. The teacher is al-mudarris, and the mountain and are both, they are both connected to al. Same thing with bintu tabibati also, right? They all have al in front of them, and so they are all ma'rifa. I think I added in that example later. Okay, so let's get some more example here. Here we have kitabun and we have Muhammad in 2 words. We want to make it Muhammad's book. How do we do it? We put the tanween kasra on Muhammad because we immediately know that goes without saying. MashaAllah. Kitabun becomes kitabu, and that is the mudaf. And kitab Muhammadin is the mudafun ilayh. Right? It is not too difficult, inshallah. Okay, now we have 3 states, right? I want you to pay attention in this particular case to explain this, right? We have kitabun Muhammadin. We want to put it together, kitabun Muhammadin. This is not correct. Nahdhif at-tanween in the idafa. So it says we take away the tanween. This is the tanween at the time of doing idafa. Right? We take away the tanween. So that is correct. So kitabun Muhammadin is incorrect. In order to make it idafa, we have to take off the tanween. So it's kitabu Muhammadin. Okay. So we have al-kitabu Muhammadin. This is incorrect also. So we can't have that. So we have to nahdhif al. There's al here. We have to take away the al. So it becomes kitabu Muhammadin. Okay. So that's the second mistake that people can make. We have kitabu Muhammadun. This is also incorrect because of the fact that mudafun ilay, in order for it to be mudafun ilay, it has to be, it has to take a kasra. So it's kitabu Muhammadin. So these are the three states that are the three ways in which people can make mistakes in relation to this. So go back and study this slide, especially inshallah, if you want to really get a hang of this subject and understand it. It's not a difficult subject, but it can sound a little confusing, right? Kitabullah is equal to Kitabun Allah is equal to Kitabullah, okay? Because we take off the tanween dhamma and we add it there. Kitabullahu. Notice this is who and Kitabun, right? If Allah, the word Allah, Lafzul Jalala becomes mudafun ilay, then it has to take kasra. Okay? Now we have Kitabun. If we want to connect it to Allah to make it Allah's book, right? We drop the tanween, so it becomes Kitabullahi. Bintu Hamidun. Bintun Hamidun. They are both nakira. They both take tanween. We want to make it bint of Hamid. Hamid's bint, right? So what do? Hamid, we take off the tanween dhamma and we put tanween kasra because this is always the case. There is no exception to this, right? You see, bint could be binta, binti, bintu, okay? But Hamidun can never change, okay? So we have Hamidin here, and then we add bint to it and we drop the tanween. This tanween drops off. The tanween there drops off. So it becomes bintu Hamidin, inshallah. Think you have an idea there, right? Exactly what is going on. I don't think we need, that needs, if need this practice, you need to go at it, inshallah. Notes relating to the possessive. Sometimes in a phrase, there is more than one owner. There's more than one thing that is owned or possessed, the mudaf. And there is more than one owner or possessor, mudafun ilayh. Okay, so let us check this out. We have Bab, Babu Baitul Rajali. We have a question. I think the time is done though. All right. Oh, you're getting there. Alhamdulillah, you're getting there. Okay, so we have three words here, right? There is two mudaf in this and two mudafun ilayh. Okay. So first of all, we are going to deal with the last two, right? Baitun and rajulun. Okay, a rajulu. Baitun. We want to make it mudafun ilayh, right? So it would be baitul rajuli. That is mudaf. That is mudaf. Mudafun ilayh and mudaf, right? But I'm just showing you how it happens like that. Okay, so we have, and this one here is mudafun ilayh. Okay, so we have mudafun ilayh here. This is one. This is two. Right? We have two mudaf. This is one, and this is two. Okay. All right. So this might be a little confusing for some people, but it's not really confusing if you really think about it. Good. So the first thing is that we want to divide this thing into two sections. We are talking about the bait of the rajul, the house of the rajul, right? So we start with this bait of the rajul first. Okay, the bait here has to take only dhamma or fatha kasra. It can't take tanween. It does not take alif and lam. And a rajuli always takes kasra because it is mudafun ilayh. Okay. Okay. Now that is important to note. Now this bait is also mudafun ilayh for bab because we are talking about a bab of the bait. The bab of the bait of the rajul. So this will translate the door of the house of the man. Okay, so you see the door of the house of the man of the house is mudafun ilayh. So obviously it will take kasra because the door of the house, and there's nothing in front of the door, so it would be babu baiti ar-rajuli, babu baiti rajuli. Okay, it can't take the alif and lam. This does not take alif and lam. It would be babul baiti normally, the door of the house. But because it is connected, it's now mudafun ilay. It is now mudaf. The alif and lam dropped. Like in this case, this case, is the door of the house. That's how it's translated, the door of the house. But we drop off the alif and lam because of the fact that it is mudaf, because it is mudaf, inshallah. The door of the man's house, or the door of the house of the man. If the mudaf has a sifa, it should come immediately after the mudaf ilayh, with a definite article, al, and it carries the same i'rab as the mudaf. This is a different concept. This one here, I think we'll have to go over about this slide later because the time is finished, inshallah. So maybe next time we are going to we are going to actually, the mudaf ilayh is full in the Quran, inshallah. When we go through the Surah Al-Fatiha and the other surahs, inshallah, we're going to find mudaf ilayh really a lot. But inshallah, I mean, we're going to stop here. And we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our efforts. We're going to do, inshallah, one session in Ramadan. I'm going to decide a time and I'm going to share it with you, the day and the time, inshallah. And maybe it will be the same. It will be better to be on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, inshallah. I think it might be better to be Saturday and Sunday because more people can attend them, inshallah. Yeah, once a week, inshallah. Once a week, that's all I can afford in Ramadan. And I don't want to disturb your time of, spending your time with the Quran and things like that. I really want you to spend a lot of time with the Quran, really a lot of time. Spend your time with the Quran, in your zikr, in your dua, getting close to Allah. Your responsibility is to get close to Allah, and my responsibility. So, inshallah, may Allah bless all of us and guide all of us and help all of us. As I said, I will tell you the time when the class is going to be there, inshallah, and then we're going to work with the one class every week. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاك الله خير.
Barakallahu feekum.